Well, speaking of wordplay, when you hear someone say, "Oh, that's too schmaltzy for me," they likely mean it is overly sentimental. That's what the word has come to mean. But schmaltz is a Yiddish word for chicken fat. And schmaltz is also one of Nina Barrett's kitchen phobias. She's working through a number of them in our series, Fear of Frying, Culinary Nightmares. In the latest episode, Nina explores the roots of schmaltz and her own culinary tree.
Ina Pinkney, proprietor of Ina's restaurant, knows from chicken fat. She knows where to get it, and more to the point, she knows how to get it.
I have 5 pounds of fat here. I called the butcher and I said, I need chicken fat. So when you are now butchering these chickens that you have in the case, the thighs, the legs, the wings, would you please save me the chicken fat that you will cut away? And he said, you bet. Sometimes they charge you a minimal amount. Sometimes they don't charge you anything. Depends on how much you flirt with the butcher.
This is the kind of lesson you're supposed to learn from your Jewish grandmother. You certainly can't get it from a recipe. Modern Jewish cookbooks have renounced chicken fat with a vengeance, substituting heart-healthy vegetable oils.
Give that chicken fat back to the chicken and don't be chicken again. No, don't be chicken again.
But if schmaltz, as it's called in Yiddish, was what put the heart attack in Bubby's cooking, it's also what gave it the heart. It's what added the flavor of an old, lost world that makes Jews of a certain age grow misty with nostalgia. Ina learned schmaltz the right way, growing up in a kosher-keeping family in Brooklyn. But my Brooklyn grandmother died when I was 4, and we moved from Manhattan to Connecticut, a state that would outlaw fat completely if it could. It's pure faith in my genetic heritage and the wistful recollections of my Jewish elders that steels my nerves as I regard the golden globs of chicken cellulite that glisten in the track lighting of Ina's Chicago kitchen.
Okay, well, see, pieces are all cut about the same size.
Okay.
And we're going to put these in the pan. This is a braising pan, but any big fry pan would do. And I have water right here. I'm just going to cover it. We want it to be able to steam and melt.
Ina's crash course in chicken fat involves several segments. First, she's showing me how to render it by melting the scraps she got from the butcher.
I'm going to cover the pan and turn the fire onto a medium. Done.
She says we can't even peek at it for 15 minutes because the steam has to build up in the pan. So in the meantime, we're doing a little experiment. I've brought along a batch of matzo balls made according to my ancestral recipe, which is the directions on the box of Manischewitz matzo ball mix. It calls for 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil. Ina's made a batch using 2 tablespoons of schmaltz. We're cooking both batches in the chicken soup I made from scratch last night.
What's going on here? Wow.
They're plumping up nicely.
They are. They're floating. Now, I'm going to use this particular ladle.
Okay.
That came from Julia Child's kitchen. This is the first time I have ever used it. It was nice to get a package one day in the mail when they were disassembling her house, her kitchen, to send to the Smithsonian. And her assistant said, Julia wanted you to have these, and sent me 3 utensils. Here's the other 2.
Julia, she says, would have approved of what we're doing. Of course, Ina knew Julia. Ina knows everyone, FYI. And with her blessing invoked, I start to feel that we have the power to conjure something magical from our simmering pots. Perhaps because they've both absorbed the chicken flavor of the soup, the difference between the packaged matzo balls and the schmaltz-enhanced matzo balls isn't really that pronounced.
Tastes like a matzo ball.
In fact, pure unflavored chicken fat has a neutral quality that made it the staple shortening of many immigrant families, even for baking. To prove it, Ina produces a surprise.
I made chocolate chunk cookies this morning for you. Instead of a stick of butter, I used 4 ounces of The clarified chicken fat
You're
that I made
kidding.
last night.
I thought you were kidding.
No, I'm not kidding.
You made cookies with chicken fat.
I did. Oil is oil.
Okay.
Shortening is shortening.
Well, I don't know what Ina's normal chocolate chunk cookies are like, but Ina's chicken fat chocolate chunk cookies are to die for. They're moist, melt-in-your-mouth mounds of chewy cookie packed with rich Blommer's chocolate chunks, and they don't taste chickeny at all. But if all chicken fat does is disappear into whatever you cook with it, I still don't get its hold on the Jewish imagination. That is, until Ina pulls the lid off the pan where the fat has been rendering, releasing a steamy cloud of pure aroma.
Look how beautiful.
Oh, and it smells like New York.
Doesn't it?
It does.
That's
Now
a
I
very
know.
good way to put it. It does smell like New York.
You know, there's this indefinable smell that you smell in New York when you walk down the street that's coming out of, I'm sure restaurants or
You
something.
are so right.
And I've never exactly known what it was, but this just smells like New York. That's the lost world of my childhood coming back in a rush. The land of 1,000 delis. A big collective kitchen of America's immigrants. The literal melting pot, in which, all of a sudden, I'm guessing an awful lot of chicken fat was being rendered into molten gold. It's a sense that's confirmed when Ina hands me one more dish to taste. Onions, sautéed in schmaltz, and then folded into mashed potatoes. It's the inside of every knish my father ever bought me on the Staten Island ferry. By the time Ina hands me a jar of artisanal chicken fat to take home, along with some chicken fat chocolate chunk cookies, I'm imagining a whole new business venture. Maybe you could, rehabilitate it. You know the way, like now we have Bacon Fest?
Chicken Fat Fest
and
doesn't
that-
have a ring to it. And they're making bacon cologne now. I don't think chicken fat cologne would attract anybody.
Cologne? Maybe not so much. But I used Ina's artisanal schmaltz to make homemade knishes. And I'm gonna tell you, it's memory in a jar. For WBEZ, I'm Nina Barrett.
To see pictures of Nina and Ina cooking with schmaltz and to listen to other episodes of Fear of Frying Culinary Nightmares, go to wbez.org/frying.
Jetzt jante dich. Soll sein mit Glück. Oi, du Trombonik.
Okay, gang, that is 8:48 for this Thursday, May 12th. Join us again tomorrow at 9 a.m. after morning edition when we say goodbye to Mayor Richard M. Daley. We'll talk with long-standing Chicagoans about his influence on the city. Plus, we want your comments and stories. You can share a memory of the mayor or say some parting words to him at our hotline, 312-948-4848. Get it? 312-948-4848. That's tomorrow at 9 a.m. on WBEZ. Thanks to Charles Upshaw for engineering and Jason Mark for directing. Thank you for listening. I'm Allison Cuddy, and this is 848 on 91.5 FM WBEZ.